I woke up to sunlight slipping through a thin crack in the shades, the kind that feels intentional, like it chose that exact spot to say, "Good morning, sleepyhead." I reached across the bed to feel for Nate, and it was cold. He wasn't there. For a second, I just lay there staring at the ceiling, listening. The quiet in Shadowbrook is never really quiet. There's always something underneath it. The brook, the pipes, the bones of the place settling into itself. I figured he had gone down early to work on the staircase. We've lived here for 2 years, and somehow we're only just getting to it. After we got married, we spent a year saving by staying at Nate's parents' place. They decided they were going to take a cross-country retirement trip. They made it halfway across Nevada before Nate's father got sick and they had to come back. But the timing in Shadowbrook always feels so arranged, because right around then, Wilbur Ramsey died. His son didn't want anything to do with the old law office on the square, so he packed everything up, cleared it out like it had never mattered, and sold it to us without much hesitation. Too easily, if you ask me now. It took us 6 months to make the loft livable. 6 months of dust, splinters, and arguments over things that didn't matter until they suddenly did. But we got there. The shop downstairs turned into something we are so proud of. Nate's office is tucked in the back, and my little art studio is squeezed into the corner up front where the light hits just right in the afternoon. And it is ours. Or at least it feels like it is, for now. The only problem is getting between the two. Every morning we have to leave the loft and then step out onto a rickety set of stairs that go down into the back alley. We have to walk the length of the building around the corner and come in through the front like we don't even live there at all. Now, there is a staircase inside. Well, there was. It was an old narrow staircase, and it was built into the bones of the place. It connected the two floors with an inner staircase. That was back when this was a proper law office, though. It's been sealed off for years. Not broken, sealed. Now, Nate says we'll have it finished by winter, but we have to widen it and get it up to code. No more back alley mornings. No more having to pretend like we don't belong in our own building. I can't wait. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and I stood up. The floor was so cold beneath my feet. If Nate was already downstairs working on that staircase, then I better get ready and get down there and help him. I stood at the sink washing my face, and the water was running just a little too cold. When I looked up, I didn't look away right away. There they were, the small things, lines that hadn't been there before, shadows that didn't belong to the light in the room. It was nothing dramatic, nothing anyone else would notice, but I sure did. I leaned in slightly, tilting my head like a stranger trying to place me. "You're not getting any younger, Opie Hale." Thought came and settled in without asking, and like it always does, it brought her with it. Genevieve. Jenny, my older sister. She's effortless in a way that never felt accidental. My mother's favorite in a way no one ever said out loud, but no one ever needed to. She's married to the town dentist. They have a house that always smells like something's baking. 3 perfect little girls who I love with all my heart. They orbit around her like she hung the moon. Marley and Mabel, the twins, they're 10 years old, and they're already too observant for their own good. And little Harlow, she's a perfect little 3-year-old. I studied my reflection a second longer. Then I smiled, just to see if I could look convincing. I heard a door close somewhere in the loft.
Opie, are you awake?
Nate's voice was always so grounding and so real, and it always brought me back to reality. I blinked, straightened, grabbed a towel, and dried my face like I hadn't just been interrogating it. "Yeah," I called back. I stepped into the main room and found him already sitting at the small bistro table by the window. He slid a mug toward my side before I even sat down. My coffee, exactly how I like it. And there was that brown paper bag folded at the top. "Peace offering?" I asked, dropping into the chair.
Let's say a bribe from Beantown.
Hmm. I opened the bag and peeked inside. Cinnamon scones. So warm and delicious. All right, I said. What did you do? Though he didn't smile. Not really.
Opie, I need to show you something. Something weird.
That landed heavier than it should have. I set the bag down slowly. What kind of something? Nate leaned back slightly like he was trying to decide where to start, and he already knew there wasn't going to be a good place.
When I was working on the staircase, I found a hidden space behind the wall.
Like it was hollow?
No, not hollow, like it was sealed up, on purpose.
Something in my chest tightened. Just a little. What do you mean sealed?
Yeah, closed up, hidden, not forgotten.
I didn't realize I had stopped reaching for my coffee until he slid a stack of papers across the table.
Opie, none of this makes any sense.
I pulled the top sheet toward me. It was an old map of the village. But it wasn't our village. There were buildings I had never seen, streets that didn't exist, structures sitting where I knew with absolute certainty that something else had always been there. That's not right, I said.
I know, and look at these. This makes it all the more confusing and very suspicious.
Census records. Names I recognized immediately. People who had died, people who had been buried, people whose funerals I had attended. They were still listed. They were still accounted for. Like nothing had ever changed. My stomach turned. This has to be a mistake.
Then it is a consistent one, because there's more.
He slid another page forward. There were whole families gone. Not crossed out, not marked, just missing. Like someone had decided they didn't belong in the story anymore. I swallowed. My eyes caught on the last thing in the pile. A map. It was different from all of the others. It was very detailed and precise. It was uncomfortably intentional. It was the tunnels. But not just the ones people talked about. All of them. Running beneath the village like veins. Branching and connecting. Leading to places I wasn't sure I wanted to recognize. I looked up at him. Nate. But my voice did not come out the way I expected.
This isn't just old history, Opie. It's not wrong. It is changed. Someone is hiding something.
We both finished our breakfast slower than usual. It wasn't because we were enjoying it so much. It was because neither one of us wanted to say what we were both thinking. Eventually, Nate gathered the papers into a neat stack and placed them back in that old briefcase that he found them in. That didn't make them feel any less wrong, though. I folded the top of the bag from the scones like that somehow closed the moment.
You all ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. The walk down the back stairs felt longer than usual. Each step creaked like it was announcing us. The alley was still, the kind of still that makes you feel like you're late to something that you weren't invited to. We rounded the corner toward the square, and there he was, Kenneth Polk, just sitting on the bench like he had been placed there. Not slouched, not relaxed, he was just positioned. He was watching us, not the square, not the stores. He was watching us. I felt it before I fully looked at him. That pull. You know, like something quietly insisting on your attention.
Oh man, don't look now.
Too late. My eyes met his. He didn't wave, he didn't nod, and he didn't look away. He just stared at me. Like he was waiting for something. I broke eye contact first. Maybe he's just...
I wonder if he...
Neither of us finished that thought. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. It felt normal and familiar, but somehow wrong. I stepped inside and stopped, and the air felt off, not stale or cold. Just different, like walking into a room where a conversation just ended the second before you stepped in. Do you feel that?
Definitely. My heebies are GB'd for sure. Ugh.
We moved through the shop slower than usual. Every shelf exactly where it should be, every book in place. And still, something did not sit right.
Follow me. I'll show you the hole I found. Here it is, the mystery stair hole in all its glory.
I followed him into his office and toward the exposed section of wall near the staircase. The panel he had removed was leaned against his desk. I looked in there, and it was dark, shallow, and empty. I stepped closer, and I crouched slightly to look inside. Nothing. No boxes, no stray papers, no dust patterns that suggested anything had been left behind. It was just space. You took everything out?
Yep. The only thing in there was this briefcase that had everything in it. It looks so old.
I reached my hand out and I ran my fingers lightly along the inside of the edge. It was smooth in some places and rough in the others. So it was like it had been opened before, more than once.
Hello? Anyone here?
We both froze.
Well, good morning.
I stood up slowly as Pam Beecher swept in like she owned the air she was breathing. I forced a smile onto my face like it belonged there. Pam, you're up early.
Oh, well, you know me. Can't miss a single moment of what's going on around here.
I could feel Nate behind me, quiet, listening, watching. Pam leaned onto the counter slightly, lowering her voice just enough to make it seem like she was sharing something important.
Nate, how is your father doing? I heard he hasn't been quite himself since he got ill on the trip.
He's doing better. He is practically back to normal.
That's good.
Well, it's like she has thoughts about that she's saving for later.
Opie, I heard that you are going to be teaching art at the middle school in the fall?
Thinking about it.
Well, I think it would be a good idea for these kids around here to have a creative outlet so they stay out of trouble.
And in a heartbeat, her smile shifted. Subtle, sharp.
And, speaking of that, are you two planning on having any little ones of your own?
And there it is. I let out a small laugh that did not quite reach my chest. We're busy with the shop and everything.
Oh, yes, for sure. You know, there is plenty of time for that. You are still young.
Her eyes lingered a second too long on both of us.
Ooh, did you hear about the Cunningham farm? 3 chickens just gone. Vanished. I told Dale it's probably those kids running around after dark again. You know how they get when no one's watching.
She just kept talking, words spilling out one after another like she was filling space that didn't want to stay empty. I nodded where I was supposed to. I smiled when it was expected. But my attention drifted back to the window, the square, that bench. He was still there, exactly where he had been, not moving, not shifting, just watching. I quickly said I'd get the phone, and I moved behind the counter and I picked up the receiver. Hello, Hale's Bookstore. How can I help?
Ophelia! You didn't forget about today, did you?
Oh, joy. It's my mother's voice. Cool, precise, and already in control of the conversation. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath for a second. No, Mother, I did not forget.
Good. I would hate for you to be late. But then again, you always did have a tendency to remember things incorrectly. I'm going to call the bakery and make sure they have my order right this time. I am not going to allow this level of disrespect on my birthday.
My grip tightened on the receiver. Across the shop, Nate was watching me, and beyond him, through the glass, Kenneth Polk was still sitting on that bench, still looking straight at us. Pam finally seemed to run out of steam, which, honestly, I didn't think was possible.
Well, I better get going. I've got a few more stops to make. Can't fall behind. You know how it is.
I walked Pam to the door with Nate just a step behind me. She reached for the handle, but then she paused. She just stopped. Slowly, she turned back to Nate, and for the first time since she walked in, she looked almost sincere.
Oh, and Nate, I'm really, really sorry to hear about the passing of your mother. It was a beautiful service. Oh, gotta go. Toodaloo.
The words didn't land right. Not at all. Nate looked shocked,
What?
and just like that, she was gone. Silence folded in between Nate and I. I turned to him. He was already looking at me, and neither of us spoke for a second. And then,
Opie? My mother isn't dead. I spoke to her yesterday. She was just fine.
it wasn't confusion. It wasn't even shock. It was certainty. Flat, grounded, unmovable certainty. A chill worked its way up my spine, slow and deliberate. Out of habit more than anything else, I glanced toward the window. The bench, still there. Kenneth Polk, not moved. But now, I wasn't sure if he just saw what happened, but he was smiling. So what is the next step for Opie and Nate? Do they A, call Nate's parents? B, keep it to themselves for now? Or C, bring it up at Amelia's birthday luncheon? Vote below. Let me know. The next episode will be out Saturday.